So let's talk about carbohydrates being used as energy. Some people love carbohydrates. Some people hate them. Um, so are they good? Are they bad? Carbs provide a highly efficient fuel source. They're great because our body can break them down and use them so effectively for energy. When they're broken down into their smallest unit, and that's glucose, right? A very simple sugar. And that glucose can either be used, right away, or it can be stored in the form of glycogen or fat. So glycogen is a great storage molecule for glucose. If you're taking in carbohydrates and you don't need the energy right away, your body's not going to use that glucose instantaneously. It's going to store the glucose as glycogen either in your muscles or in your liver. And your body can store about 2,000 calories worth of glycogen. And what's great about glycogen is that it can be used very quickly. Your body can break it down and use it right away. It's why it's great for high intensity exercise, right? Think about it this way. If you have glycogen stores in your muscles and you're starting to use and move them, well, you don't want the energy being stored somewhere else in your body. You want that energy being stored right where it's going to be used. And that's why glycogen is a great storage for quick access, get it to be used right away. Your liver can also store a lot of glycogen as well and break it down and then shuttle it over to the muscles and areas of body that you need to be using it. So carbohydrates, we've learned, are used mostly for energy. However, carbohydrates are not just used for energy. They do have other functions as well. And typically you'll hear carbohydrates classified as simple and complex. Complex carbs essentially mean that you're eating a food that contains a lot of carbohydrate, but also contains other important nutrients as well. So a food, for example, like a fruit, vegetable, whole grain, beans, lentils, peas, potatoes, right? A whole food that's also giving you the fiber, vitamins and minerals, even protein, fat, that also contribute to a healthy, rounded diet. Simple carbohydrates you'll hear of as well, and these are typically the processed carbohydrates. Foods that don't offer much besides just sugar. Carbohydrate is essentially just, for the most part, can be just sugar at its raw form. And foods you'll hear that are simple carbohydrates are typically like white pasta, white breads, soda, crackers, just that pure, easy access sugar. And it doesn't offer you really any other nutrients. So you may be eating and getting a lot of your calories, your daily caloric intake may be made up of just pure sugar, and you're not getting all these other important nutrients that I'm talking about. These are also sometimes referred to as refined carbs because, right, you're refining it, you're taking everything else out and just stripping it down to its carbohydrate base. And our bodies are attracted to this because, our number one objective is to survive and get energy, but understanding that food is not just about energy and that our body needs other nutrients is important, and which is why you want to try to focus on complex carbohydrates. Whole foods provide other nutrients as well. Fiber is a type of carbohydrate, but it's a type of nutrient that cannot be completely broken down by our enzymes, and it's found in plant-derived foods. And fiber, it can be classified into other types of fibers. Typically, it's classified into soluble versus insoluble, and even those can be broken down further. But the idea is that fiber essentially provides and helps our body with bulking, viscosity, and fermentation. So let's get into exactly what that means. Different fibers have different effects. There's different types of fibers, like I said, soluble, insoluble, and they contribute to our overall health in different ways. Fiber helps improve our fullness. It allows us to feel full and increases food volume without adding extra calories, right? It prevents overeating. It increases stool regularity, which is important. You want to go to the bathroom regular. It alleviates constipation by adding bulk to the stool. It even reduces the absorption of sugar, stabilizes sugar response post-meal, reduces fat and cholesterol absorption, and so many other functions as well. But it plays an important role in our body, even if it cannot be digested. And fermentable fibers are actually consumed by the bacteria that lives within inside of us. Right? We've heard of the microbiome, the gut biota, and that plays a very complex role within our body, our gut microbiome. And our gut microbiome uses fiber to then produce these fatty acids as byproducts. And these fatty acids actually are used by our own cells, our colon cells. So think about it like this. We're taking in foods, we're eating fiber. We're not using that fiber directly, but that fiber is actually feeding our gut biome that then produces a type of fat that our colon cells then use. And these short chain fatty acids that our gut microbiome produces when it takes in that fiber improve our immune function, decreases intestinal inflammation, increases absorption of minerals, and other functions. And you can find fiber in healthy foods like legumes, oats, rye, chia, barley, fruits, vegetables, potatoes, nuts, whole grains, seeds. So I'll talk briefly about whole grains versus white grain. And we hear of whole grain, or maybe we don't know what that means, but what a whole grain is, it is what it sounds like, whole. So it contains not just carbohydrate, but it contains important vitamins and minerals. It contains different types of fats, even proteins. And so you've got like this diverse food group compared to if you're just eating a white grain, it's just pure carbohydrates, maybe with some protein, but that's it. You're not taking in all those other nutrients that are important for health and to maintain a overall healthy body. So recommended daily amount of carbs that you should be taking in, around 45 to 65% of your total calories should be from carbohydrates. So make sure that they're not refined carbs, right? Because we want to make sure we're taking in a diverse nutrient panel. So focus on whole foods like fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, beans, lentils. Focus on those complex carbohydrates, not the simple.